Hey everybody, how you doing?
Oh, Nancy, the water chick. We're not canceled this year.
No, and we haven't tried to invade Moscow and leave in 24 hours either. So,
Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, it's oddly enough, it's the same weekend of our local softball tournament, and
Mhm.
this year we didn't make it to Sunday, but last year we did, so that's why the cancellation happened. So that was the little short I made at the ball field last
Mhm.
year. So weird, weird how that popped up.
No, but
Oh,
Scott Body needs a cancellation of softball.
yes, it does. The brain thinks I'm 25 yet. But it
Well,
was fun. Good to see people.
oh, it's fun to play, and that's the hardest part about giving up those sort of group things is letting go of all the people that were just a part of it.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
one of the weird thing is one of the guys I played with is a cousin by marriage.
Oh
Didn't
wow.
even know it. My aunt, my aunt is so my aunt's brother had a kid
Mhm.
and his son.
Oh,
So
okay.
through that, my aunt, my uncle married through blood. My mom's
Mhm.
brother married my aunt Kay,
Mhm.
who was a Saunders, and this guy is a Saunders,
Mhm.
which is because we were sitting there around after the fact talking, and he starts talking about my cousins, my first cousins. I'm like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
who are you? A guy I never knew about. Here's related through marriage.
That's That's
Which was
small town America. When we used to go home to
really strange.
Canada, they'd talk about, oh, well, they're Wilson and they're Short and they're this and they're that, and there are just so many names in that town, and then they ran out or something. I don't know.
Oh gosh, you're as young as you feel,
That's right. Until
but
you go for that ball and pull your shoulder out.
but I feel old. Okay. Yeah, crazy early weekend there with Prigozhin troops. And then there was reports I seen that the Ukraine was, since Prigozhin guys left, they were making advances in Ukraine.
Yeah, they went over a river they didn't think they'd get over. But they'd been out of action as far as really on the battlefield for more than a month, because they pulled them out of Bakhmut. Once Bakhmut was won, they sent the Russian. I think that's part of what happened is they didn't let them keep pillaging and their medieval fighting that they were doing. But my first feelings when I heard that what his announcement, and I saw it translated on. There's a guy on YouTube called Inside Russia. He's Russian, and he watches all the channels and he translates. And I was watching him, and my mental image was a map of Russia, and it was smoldering and heading towards Moscow. But what really was going to happen was this was really a signal to a lot of other people in the country that want to see changes, and it was a chance for them to rise up in their own way. But it certainly showed that Putin's not the strong man. The other thing I thought of is if this happens fast enough, it's really going to hurt the Republican Party because some of their biggest donors will be gone.
Well, I think a lot of them have been gone. They've either been sanctioned or fell out of windows.
Well, no, the ones fell out of windows were not all necessarily supporting Americans. There still is cryptocurrency floating around out there, and we'll see.
Hmm.
But Marjorie, we may get actually see what color what the real color is of Marjorie Taylor Greene's hair when she runs out of money for the dye jobs.
Prigozhin made a deal with Lukashenko to take down Russia.
Is Lukashenko the guy in Belarus?
Yeah, I think he's the leader of Belarus.
See, and Russia's been strong-arming Belarus to use their nuclear weapons on Ukraine or to bring their troops into Ukraine. And Lukashenko's been doing a dance to stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, I don't think that he wants any repercussions there. Stay neutral as possible, even though he's a
thug.
honorable.
Yes, he's a thug.
Is there a deal?
Okay, want to read on the deal?
Yeah, I'm not getting a boom deal about him. You sent to Belarus to kill him. Is there a deal that... I don't sense Lukashenko wants any part of any kind of war like they're doing in Ukraine.
I get a yes and a no.
It feels like he's being like neutral as possible.
I think he's trying to act like I'm letting them have a fair way out and I'm going to be the arbiter of good taste. I'm going to support this arbitration of him staying here. But what I have that says, no, that's not the truth, is he really doesn't like Putin at all. He is really terrified of what the world's going to think. And it's a heavy burden that he's carrying to deal with this. So if I think that they both have had second thoughts about how this is going to work out. But I think Lukashenko really has. But he comes out looking like, look, I stopped them from fighting and I'm his supporter. But I think in part, Lukashenko hates Putin as much as Prigozhin does, but he really doesn't want the world's opinion coming down on him. So I said, I think it's going to be a sneaky little guerrilla war all over the country without Belarus ending up in it.
Yeah, I got the justice card coming out first. That's more feeling like balance.
That's the card I had. The one that the police cap is justice.
Yeah, it's more about keeping things balanced and running out the clock kind of feeling. The Chariot and King of Swords come out next to that. The King of Swords feels like the authoritarian figure, but taking charge. I do have a sense this does kind of feel like the war crimes. Also, then have the offer victory and being stuck in a position. And so, like the Eight of Swords. So the Page of Cups, they gave some kind of offer with Prigozhin coming here, but Lukashenko's kind of stuck.
Yeah,
He's kind of stuck in a position where of no win. But we have whatever Prigozhin did, there is a sense of a victory here.
Oh, I think it was they lit the fuse, but the bomb didn't end up blowing like we thought it was going to.
So the connections between the Kremlin and Lukashenko is transitioning. They're not together.
Yeah.
So I have the two leaders opposite each other, but there's a separation and moving away.
Yeah.
So it does feel like there is some kind of deal here.
Well, they one of the things that I was watching uh, English speaking German news and English speaking French news this weekend. After Angela, I don't know if she's going to make it this morning, but Angela, who lives in Finland, said you ought to watch this news if you want to see even a broader view than the BBC news. And she thinks the BBC are sort of pro Russia right now still. What they said was that the most important thing, both of them said it in different reports, the most important thing was Prigozhin's statement to the Russian people about how there is no reason for this war. It was made for other people's greed, and you're suffering incredible hardships, which they really are in that country because of this. And the other thing is, Prigozhin's really, really tied to Africa. He's got a lot of his troops are, especially the nation that's Central Africa. I think that's what it's even called. And there's lots of diamond mines and minerals and stuff. And his soldiers put that guy in place that's ostensibly running the country, but they really are. And there's enormous wealth in that country. And Putin was down in Africa last week, and he really got a earful from all of the African nations because Ukraine is their breadbasket. That's where all their grain comes from. And they're starting to have massive starvation in Africa because of Putin's war. So I wonder, because Prigozhin has such strong, his best hope would be get the hell out of Europe and get to Africa. He'd be safer in Africa than he would be in Europe. And I wonder if they didn't give him the money to motivate him to speak out against that war to the Russian people in hopes of raising something more. Because a couple of the presidents and prime ministers were not nice to Putin about what he's doing to them, what he's trying to do to them. Of course, he's like, well, we have to take care of our own sovereignty, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I seen your question, Rose. Thank you. Yeah, Prigozhin murdered people too, though.
Oh yeah, I'm saying, if you got to pick between that bunch, there ain't a good one. There's not one that's. But if it brings down Putin and stops their centralized government, that's going to stop the war faster than going after Prigozhin.
Yeah, they're always. It's interesting this is happening about the same time 45 is going down.
There's a lot similar in his and Putin's chart.
A lot of similarities there.
Because they made bad choices in the first place.
It's the biggest thing is that the people can actually see their lives are worth it, and it was all fake, and that'll change things. There had to be some kind of coordination or knowledge for there's no fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
On the way up. And the Wagner group supposedly took down a couple helicopters. That's not cheap.
No.
So they did damage, but there was no retaliation. So it's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel like Europe and Biden made the decision to take Putin out?
No, Putin made the decision to go into Ukraine, and Biden and Europe are combining together to keep Ukraine together. So
yeah, they're just united.
I think it's backwards. That statement's backwards to me. Yeah, they don't want him to stick around.
Yeah, I don't see our teams going in there unless they do something against NATO.
And I think they were reporting last night that both on CNN and MSNBC that the U.S. had a really strong feeling he was going to make this move. Where the hell was Moscow? If we knew, and we're over here.
Yeah, Moscow just bugged out. Seems like he took down. They honestly think they're going to run right to the Kremlin. Sure look like they're going to do it, Jeff. This is crazy. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
For helping out with the disinformation in 2016.
Yeah, he ran all those farms.
Crazy. I can't remember. Where do you know your Atlas? I seen Uganda. Is that's somewhere in Africa, isn't it? Or
Right.
Ghana?
Yes. Uganda.
Or Uganda, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying they're out of water.
Yep.
And they started drinking salt water, which is gonna not very good.
Well, then they'll be out of people.
They're in desperate times there. Water dried up. It's so hot.
Well, I was talking to Angela last night, and it was midnight her time, and the sun was still streaming through the window because she lives that far north,
Okay.
and it's been in the upper 80s, which it never gets to up there for the last 2 weeks. She says it's just been unbearable.
Okay. Ian said ex-British Royal Marines said the Black Ops could be involved somewhere.
Well, isn't that the object of black ops, is to not be found?
Yeah, I think they help with intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
training and stuff, but I'm not being shown they're like directly involved in the middle of anything yet.
No. No, we're letting these guys' egos play against each other. We don't have to do. There's nothing we can do about that.
Okay. All right. That was.
Okay.
Okay,
Owen
that was Rose Blue's question too. So.
Okay. What's our question?
Okay. Owen Schroyer. He was part of.
He's Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, yeah.
He's Alex Jones' executive producer of InfoWars, and he was on vacation with Alex at the Willards. So.
Yeah, we found out through, as far as the Willard, that those guys that got removed were denying access to try to figure out what happened at the Willard. Those guys that were in there that were pro-Trump and didn't want to do anything, but they're gone now. So, plea deal. Yeah, plea deals are always good. Means they're flipping somehow.
Mm-hmm. Just so long as they're low enough that they're not going to be one of the leaders that got off scot-free, but they're high enough so they were right next to the leaders that you don't want to get off scot-free. Of course, what are they going to get from Alex Jones? That guy must be down to one pair of striped underwear.
Okay. When they're in a Willard.
Oh, he's going to reveal everything. Oh, shit.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
He has documentation too.
Yes.
I guess that would Knight of Coins, so it feels like that could be a even
Part of the planning.
Text messages, emails, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, he cut a deal big time here. So I got the King of Swords next to the Eight of Swords, Page of Swords. So he's working with the January 6th or the government, Jack Smith and team,
Mhm.
him getting locked up there with Eight of Swords. He did it himself, being involved, but Page of Swords is giving information that is desperately needed for
Mhm.
help. Knight of Coins is about documents, something tangible giving over. Next to him, giving up information and flipping. And the loss, the contemplation of the flip, the deal.
Mhm.
And what he knows about the Oath Keepers and everything coming in there,
Mhm.
Knight of Swords, and he knows about other planning with the King of Wands. So he's giving up everything he has, but it has to do with the planning with the Oath Keepers and coming there. And the King of Wands is like the leader.
Mhm.
Type of other leaders that had this brainstorming of what they were going to do and whatnot. So he had the, I think he does have the intimate details of what happened within the Willard and the planning session.
Well, I put this on camera because it's too good. The
Oh,
first
sweet.
card, the card in is Emperor. So he knew the whole plans from the very beginning, from the ground up, all the leadership. And across it is the Wheel of Fortune. He knows everything. He somehow or another he was in touch with everybody. Um, it was a bad battle that no one could win. It was all based on I'm going to get my weapons and beat everybody else up. But at the time they were doing it, they had a very clear and present goal, and he has all the goals written out. He has it all in some form that they can use. And when they first came after him, he was I'm going to stand strong. I'm not going to get sucked into this. But guess what? He's got a bunch of nines on here. He didn't get his wish. They got it. And he realizes that if it all comes down because of the position he was in, they could sell him out and make him look like he was more of a player than he was. So he's selling out his friends. He's not going to be friends with them anymore. He's singing like a little bird. It's the messenger that tells everybody all the tales, and he's telling them everything he knows. And his out card is the moon, which in this case, I feel is really a very deep depression for him, that he feels like he sold out people that trusted him, but he had no choice. I mean, he had everything. He was one of the few people who had, because of going through Alex Jones, that had every piece of the puzzle. And the second he stepped into this, he's got tens and nines, and tens and nines when they show up in your readings, that's the end. You're done. You're at the end of what you need to do. I'm going to switch back now so people can see my lovely face.
Angela popped in.
Good. Hi, Angela. I'm
Second
sure she
question.
sleeps. I'm sure she sleeps sometime, but like I said, she was on with me in the late afternoon, my time, which is midnight in Finland. So I watched your shows, Angela. They're very good. Thank you.
Second question, that is about Alex Jones. Colleen's asking, what does it mean when the eights show up a lot?
Eights are positions of money and power, and it depends on whether right side up or upside down, and it depends on their relation to suit. The Eight of Cups is opening of your heart, money and power coming from the heart, so that's very heart-centered. The Eight of Pentacles is very good work. You're getting a lot of money and you're getting a lot of energy and power from what you do for work. The Eight of Wands is you're building a good defense, but it's Eight of Wands is more of a defensive card than anything else. And the Eight of Swords is trapped. It's kind of that's the lady that's trapped in swords in traditional decks. But the eights kind of mean when you're coming up and you're going from starting at one and moving forward. 8 is your money and power place, and it's how your energy expresses itself. So if having money and power stresses you out, you're trapped. And it's up to you to get yourself out of it. But what happens to people in the 8s is all the work they've done up until they're through the first 7 numbers to know what's going to work for them. 8s are fun though because you can really work with them. I mean, some of the numbers feel very fatalistic. Like I think the most miserable card in the entire tarot deck is the 9 of Swords. That's the one where the woman's up at night and she's got the swords coming down over her head while she's in bed. It's that kind of anxiety. I think that's one of the harder things to break. Maybe it's just because of how I think, but anyway, 8s are money and power and using your power. I'm done. That's all I'm going to say.
8s are generally you're working on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You either need to walk away or you're creating or you're 8 is, like you said, with 8 of Swords.
But it's all activity. It's action. It's not
Right.
a card where you're never staring at your navel when you're in an 8.
All right.
And if it's your life path number, good luck. That's going to be your energy for your life.
Yeah, I never seen anything that MTG was at the Willard. Whoever was there, they had people photographing or cameras.
Oh yeah, they've had the producer testified at the Jan 6 hearings.
Right. And there was photos released of who was in the planning session. So
yeah, and there's a photo of Roger.
There was like Rudy and Christina Bob was there, and
right. And Roger took off for the hills when he realized message had come in, and he turned tail and ran and left the room.
Yeah, there was pictures of a few of the Oath Keepers and Roger Stone, but yeah, he took off.
Mm.
Oh, cool, Linda. Linda Reeves was saying she's smelling perfume. She asked her
cool.
pendulum, and she thinks it was her dad's sister.
It was what?
She was smelling perfume.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And her pendulum thinks it's her dad's sister.
Yeah, I was on the phone with somebody yesterday, and she said, "Oh my God, my uncle wants to talk to me." And I said, "How do you know? Did you see it on your phone?" She says, "No, he's been dead 20 years, but he smoked, and I can smell the smoke." And she doesn't smoke, and she didn't live in a place smoke can get into. So,
yeah, I put in the comments that I was every once in a while after my grandpa passed, I would smell pipe smoke.
mm-hmm.
He he smoked a pipe long ago before he switched all cigarettes, but that pipe smoke is distinguished, a lot higher.
Oh yeah, they have. Mm-hmm.
It's like I just be in the living room, like, why am I smelling pipe smoke? It's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other day I was sitting in my chair in the evening, and all of a sudden I could smell the old house I grew up in. And I knew what it was immediately, and I was surrounded by it. And I was talking to Dr. Gale about an hour later, and she said, "Oh, that was just your angels giving you a place there where you felt comfortable." And it was true. It just settled everything down around me. Because the house I grew up in on Rainer was a very safe place. Okay. Enough of my dreams. Will Alex Jones get prison for being there? The information that's given will damage him. There's no way for him to try and say it's not true. It's making his journey much tougher. Remember I said this is where they all realized they kind of had to put their swords down and try to let other people do the fighting, and it didn't work. And he's already developing a defense. But what those cards tell me is this card's a yes. This is a yes, 2 yeses. And this is a 1 yes. And so, yeah, he's definitely going to be up for prison time. He just has to make it to. Have you seen that man? He looks like his heart's going to explode at any moment.
All of them do. In the past, it was like he thought this was a meal ticket, the way he runs his podcast and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel of Fortune, all about money, dealings with 45 and the Republicans, the right wing, everything he thought, but is that Wheel of Fortune, everything's turning. And so my January 6th card, 5 of Swords, lies, deceit, the conflicts. He's coming into either anxiety or a 10 of Swords moment. Disastrous. He's losing everything with money. Health problems also.
Oh dear.
Him, the moon, which could be October.
Mm-hmm.
Courthouse is November. Justice is upon him. And then the Empress. It's also my star card. So I don't think he knows he's in legal jeopardy about this, but he is about to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When justice comes in, he's gonna have legal repercussions from this. But yeah, he's all up in it. Especially when I look for that card. It's my January 6th card being involved. So not good cards for Mr. Alex.
No.
He's gonna have legal jeopardy. His fame and fortune is turning away.
He made bad choices.
Yeah. It's just so sad how they can make so much money off of the hurt of other people for such a long time. And it takes something like trying to overthrow your government to make it change, or, you know, lawsuits from Sandy Hook,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to get accountability. But yet these people can still do their podcasts and throw out nonsense. Go, Alex.
Scott, you really might want to go in, find in your videos that one you taped a year ago and take it down, because apparently it's throwing it up on this day every year.
Okay.
And people are saying, I thought it was canceled.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, okay. I guess I'll get rid of that one. Okay, we did that. Let's switch it up. Just wondering about the Schumann resonance. Does that affect the climate, of political climate?
Yes. In as much as
I'll
it
go back
affects
here.
us.
I had never heard that Alex was at the Willard, but
Schreier was there as his
he was
representative.
involved.
Okay.
Do you remember the definition of the Schumann resonance? I've heard
The
of
Schumann
it.
resonance it's called the heartbeat of the world, and for years it was regular. It was a constant pulse. It's a real low level pulse, but it's a pulse that's sent out by the world. And when it changes, it usually means there's some big event happening in the world. One of the times the Schumann resonance and the energetics of the center of the world changed was on 9/11. The way they were tracking it at the time was random number machines. They found out that there were certain dates that random number machines would quit being random, and they'd all get together and they'd all be saying sort of the same thing. It's in Heart Math if you want to learn about it. But anyway, so they were watching for that. And on 9/11, at about the time these guys boarded the plane, the Earth knew what was coming. And it changed its heartbeat for that. And as soon as the second tower fell, it stopped and it went back to its normal resonance. The other time I know of that I've seen a documentary about them following it was the day Obama was elected. in the morning, about the times the polls opened on the East Coast, the resonance got into a different beat. And when he was elected, when he came out and did his speech, as soon as he finished his acceptance speech, the resonance went back to its usual pulse. That's how regular it was. Well, starting in 2017, when we shifted out of a part of the galaxy that we were in, where our solar system shifted away from a place where we were protected from subatomic particles, all of a sudden the Schumann resonance would occasionally get a little weird. And it's because the subatomic particles are passing through the iron core of the Earth, and they're actually changing the Earth's rhythm. Now, scientists knew in geology that something was going to happen because every 12 or 13,000 years, they could actually find proof in the rocks that somehow the energetics of the Earth shifted. But they never knew why. Well, now we have the instruments to know why. And it's when we're in this passage. And that's where we are. That's when we talk about being affected by subphotonic. That's the neutrinos and all those guys that they're so tiny, they pass through the Earth, and they're the product of exploding stars. And what's happening, what they think is happening, is eventually enough of that will go through the iron core to change it. And at some point, the iron core will ring out with one giant wah, 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 wah. And the only reason I know all this crap is because that's why they need to get the ley lines straight and the earth lines straight. And that's why your earth dragon is doubling in size. The one that goes to Holy Hill near you, Scott, because those energetic lines help contain the energy in the earth. And does it affect us? Oh, absolutely. If the summer solstice, I don't know if you saw it or not, but an amethyst cloud appeared above Mount Shasta. And it wasn't a spaceship thing. The cloud just turned amethyst at the same time. There was a huge jump in the Schumann resonance right at summer solstice. So, yeah, and it's affecting us. And that's why when you say I'm nervous, I can't sleep, or I can't wake up, all those effects are us responding to the earth effect. You can go on YouTube. It's not incredibly interesting. They actually track the Schumann resonance, and you can see how it's tracked. And if you find some documentaries, they'll show you how it used to be for years and how crazy it is now.
Very interesting. Jeff's question was political climate.
Right. Well, politics is made up of individuals, and how touchy we are and how on point we are. I just told you, it responded the day Obama got elected. That was
the Schumann resonance was on the positive aspect. When
there's not a positive or negative. It's like your heart. It just beats. It's the heartbeat of the world.
Sure. But if it's intense, like you talked about,
if it's intense,
it could affect someone going to the polls or not if you don't feel good.
Right. It can put a flame up your butt. Yeah. But it also, if you're not attached to the earth or you're not grounded, it will make you fearful because you know something's going on, but you can't touch it. It's like the 9 of Swords. You know, something's coming down on you and you're not sure what. All of these earth energies and ley lines and stuff, when they started tracking them really in the 80s, they had to invent tools. They had to invent sensors because there's such a low frequency. It's really that there weren't there was no reason for scientific tools to be able to measure them. And now, and because they've always been there, it's like when ley lines cross each other, or and like they're all over England, and they cross each other a lot in cathedrals. They'll have 2 or 3 lines go through a cathedral. It's a very holy place, and it has been for centuries. And it goes way, way back to the last time we went through this weird part of the universe where we're not protected from the subatomic particles. I remember in the 70s, when we were still heavily in the other cloud, they were trying to find out if neutrinos really existed. And I remember seeing some, they would like have to build these cages down in the bowels of old mines that had been abandoned because there's so few that pass through the earth. And I remember seeing it on 60 Minutes, and these guys had gotten one. And that this was beginning to prove that they existed. Now you don't have to go to the bowels of the earth. You got to just stand outside, and they're there. Now, what do those do to us? There's some belief that they actually, because of the nature of the energy that they are, that they're actually changing our DNA. That's what they're calling the upgrade in DNA. If you're a believer in that stuff, that's what's going on.
Yeah. I was just I threw cards on it to try to understand more. I understand it's the resonance, but it does show difficulties, depending on I guess it may be like, the tremors from an earthquake kind of feeling at times. Mm-hmm. But at other times it creates positive change and inspiration, being connected.
Mm-hmm.
With that, Ace of Coins is all about earth and prosperity, but combined with the Six of Cups and Ten of Wands, it's showing me it can be recurring themes in different aspects with astrology and how the earth effects can create that exhaustion and burdens of that resonance or sound. And then I have like the Death card coming along with transitioning, and then the Ace of Swords. So that's feels also difficult. Also, it almost gives me the idea of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to decipher what the propaganda is as far as the political environment. All in all, I do feel like the energy of the earth and the resonance does make positive aspects forward. Helps with creativity, helps with studying and being compassionate. The last three cards are all three kings: cups, swords, and wands.
Mm-hmm.
So there's powerful nature to the resonance. So I think and overall it does feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah,
but it can cause anxieties and whatnot.
My out card is the Magician. It's what you make of it.
Sure.
Except in this, instead of as above, so below, it's what's coming out of the earth. And sending it up to the sky, dispensing it into the world. It's really on how grounded you are, whether you're going to. No, Carrie, I know it's a good explanation of the human resonance. I still don't know how the hell the whole thing works. I just know how I can understand it so I can begin to use it. And I don't use the Schumann resonance. I use earth energies. So.
Yeah. But I don't really worry about it.
There's nothing you can do unless you can figure out a way to get to the iron core and stop it. What the hell? It's like Jupiter and Saturn are going to go conjunct. You're going to go up there and fix it?
Renee at Tarot Love needs some help if you can.
Mm-hmm.
$1 here, $1 there.
That all helps.
He's in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
T. Jones. Yeah. When the opportunity arises, one maggot at a time. I was reading I think it was Friday or Saturday between softball games. Some people I follow are talking about they're making progress. And they keep talking about one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Get someone to be open enough to actually sit down and read the information to know they've been lied to. And it works if someone's actually open enough. Instead of causing a rift between and calling each other libtards and MAGA idiots or whatever, which is going to bring you apart. Try different techniques, especially in person. They're saying they're having better luck in person.
You have to open your own heart, and you have to realize that by shaming them isn't going to help.
Yeah.
By giving them an opportunity to talk does.
Okay. So yeah, I remember that Cassie Hudson's told Mark Meadows not to go to the Willard because he was planning on it. He told him to call instead. Did Mark Meadows and others call into the meeting? Yeah, it was a planning session. There was others they were talking to.
If I remember rightly, in the shot of the documentary, they showed them on conference calls with people. So if they were on a conference call and it was on a speakerphone, they've got their voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so sick of looking at those people, Scott. Honest to God. I really just want them to be taken off somewhere where they can't hurt us anymore.
Okay.
What you got? What's going on?
No, I was just checking that short out quick.
Okay.
Anyway, let's see. Looked at that. He's wondering about Iran. What does Iran's government people think about what Trump is going through? Because they still had the bounty on him supposedly.
Okay.
Let's just see what the cards say. What the heck?
Okay. I'm going to ask what they think of Trump. I'm going to ask what they think of Trump, and I'm going to lay another 5 on what they think of the whole U.S. to see if they've made that intellectual. Very different cards. Trump, they're not his good friend, and they think he's a liar and deceitful and cheats, and they think he's totally out of balance, and they see him as more delusional than even parts of the U.S., and they just think he's on a rough journey, and they're not gonna try to mess with it. Now, what do they think of the U.S.? They'd like to quit fighting with us, but we can't find a mediator that can bring the two parts together. But at the end, they think we will become friends because they're shifting to some extent. They're not strong enough. The people within the country aren't strong enough to make the entire shift. But the way the Iranian government's running things, it's going to fall of its own weight. There's 2, like I told you, 10s. There's 2 10s in that reading. This is the closest to right now. They would like to be our friends, but they have to dump a lot of and we have to get rid of the crap we have. We have to get rid of the idiots that turn them into the ultimate enemy.
Yeah. there's a plan here. If he would ever come back near Iran, I think
Mhm.
that bounty is still
Yeah.
open. So I got the Chariot, which would be travel, and they would definitely use that bounty. That Pegasaurus, like they would try to capture him and get this bounty
Mm-hmm.
if he would ever travel to that area or Middle East where it would be accessible. So yeah, it's not forgotten.
No.
Him, something about January 6th and the chaos he's creating and lies.
Mm-hmm.
It's Seven of Cups delusional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, smart people know he's from looking away that he's a delusional moron. But there's a ton of, even from abroad, the intelligence and everything, they can see that 45 is going away.
Mm-hmm.
The intelligence agencies know what happened. You know, governments can see what's going on. There's a Ten of Swords, Justice, Knight of Coins coming for 45. But yeah, that bounty is still out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to look at it, they would like balance and a good partnership there too, that Knight of Coins and Justice. They don't feel as bad, you know, like some other countries. They don't
Mm-hmm.
like as bad. They're tired of the chaos. That's what it's telling me. They're tired of the chaos. They'd like more balance. Just to be, God, to be a normal country. But didn't were they the ones that are having all that issue about the headdresses
They're the ones that women are rioting.
for women?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the country still needs, the leadership still needs a whooping.
Well, they're an ultimate patriarchy. They're just like as if the religious right ever really gets a hold of us.
I haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
Oh no, there have been some things they've been doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sad. Wow. Rose Blue's dad is 89, worked at NORAD.
Yep.
Still has to stay quiet.
Yep.
Yowzers. I didn't do much in the service to say anything. It's gonna hurt national intelligence. Okay. There's a
Some of
lot
your
of
questions I don't understand. I don't understand. Did he name Congress PPL?
PPO.
No, it's Rose Blue. I just don't even. I cannot in any way, shape, or form, even with my best side spidey sense, can I make a question out of that? So don't go back.
Okay.
If she retypes it, then we can figure it out.
Okay. Will Hurd, let's switch off of Putin for a bit.
Oh, he's from Texas.
A lot of the other questions were about Putin. I have starred. And
Yeah.
Anyway, Will Hurd, he jumped into the race.
Did he?
Somewhat of a moderate Republican.
He's from Texas. How could he be a moderate Republican?
That's what they say.
Okay. Actually, he's probably one of the Republicans on the outside of the state legislature that pushed on Paxton to get caught. Oh, by the way, remember our question about Paxton's wife? She's now implicated in all the crap he did. So
Oh, she
I
is
don't
really.
think- Yeah. Oh
You
yeah,
sent
there's
me something, but I couldn't
that
get
was
through.
okay. That was the article I
I
sent you.
started reading it, but then it had a paywall or something. So
Yeah, it's the morning news. Yuck.
I seen she had to recuse or wasn't allowed,
Mm-hmm.
but she's implicated. Love it.
No,
Well,
I get absolutely not. I think he's got an interesting kind of money behind him, but he doesn't have a good message. He is meeting all the right people to try and make that happen. That's a Five of Pentacles in reverse. That means you're not being cast out, you're being brought in. But he'd have to give up too much control. And it's just, there's too much behind baggage he carries from having been a good legislator for Texas. I got to feel he'd get killed on the pro-choice issue anyway.
so weird. I got he's delusional. He thinks he's gonna be president.
Well, he does come from South Texas, and they spend a lot of time in the sun, so no doubt.
I don't see the fundraising coming in for him.
Oh, he's got one person behind him pushing him to get whatever their story is out.
Well, one's not enough. You need millions and millions and millions of help and donations.
I know.
But I got the Seven of Cups coming out next to creating finances with the Ten of Coins and the Devil. It's a strange combo, but it seems like it would be not of all good. That would suggest it's not on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but lacking finances too. 10 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Cups. So creating change. I mean, he's got two good cards there with the Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Cups, but the burdens are in the middle.
Well, I wouldn't worry about him terribly much.
No, I'm not really. I'm just trying to decipher what it's supposed to be telling me. I mean, my senses say he ain't going anywhere, but for the meantime, it does feel like he'll be a voice of reason for what he says in the news and whatnot, and when he gets, on the stage of town halls or whatever. They got the Empress, the Page of Wands, and the King of Coins. So it feels like he'd speak about the bad things that 45 did. Speak about family. So it sounds like he's good. Listen, that would mean he's a good speaker.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's going to get captured as a serious contender. But feels like a foolish journey, but just speaking ain't bad. Like, even like Chris Christie speaking the truth.
I've run candidates in primaries that were what we called issue candidates. They were there because certain issue wanted to be brought up, and they knew if they weren't involved in the debate, it wouldn't come up. And a lot of environmentalists did that for a while. And it helps. I mean, it gets it out in the public dialogue. So I don't know what his issue is. But.
Oh, the court. More about the court. Alito's in the news too.
Oh, he's another snake. Whenever I saw him, even when I was younger, and he was romping around, he always looked like a snake to me. He's always looked like a snake. And I really try to not judge people by those opinions, but he's a snake.
Isn't it interesting that ProPublica or whoever has found bad dealings by every single one of the conservative judges
Mm-hmm.
that
And
were
so
not
far,
reported? Imagine that.
and the only story they found out about a judge and accepting or not accepting a gift was somebody showed up at Alina Kagan's office with a box of bagels, and she said, "My staff can't have that because you have something before us." They wouldn't make a bagel.
Unbelievable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feels like there's anger from the other federal judges that are more seriously looked at than they are.
Mm. Okay, I asked how Justice Alito's feeling right now. He really, if he could get out, and they won't because Biden's there and they don't want the judge he put on, he'd leave now. He's achieved what he wanted to, not that it did much good for anybody else, but he's thinking about it. This is putting the puzzle sticks together and trying to figure out how to move on. He really wants out of this battle. This guy is not a happy camper. And he's walking into the moon. And this, to me, when it comes after those kind of cards, it really means he's fighting depression. And then I said, what's the ultimate outcome of his stuff? He's not going to achieve any of the goals he really wanted to. He's going to charge around and he's going to move to somewhere quickly. And this card is not being with the group that you've been planning things with. But his 2 out cards are he wants to get out before somebody comes after him for the money that he's taking. And he's looking for a spokesperson to handle his side of the story because he did such a miserable job when he wrote his own editorial. He just incriminated himself more. So he doesn't like it, and he's trying to figure his way out of it. And I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't know we can ever go after them for money or anything. But, for people like him, they've sold their position for the money. That means you can't go back when you don't have that job anymore. You're you got what you got. And if he's been a spendthrift and hasn't dealt with his money well, he's screwed. But no, they thought they could hide behind their white robes, their black robes, and they can't.
Yeah, that's what the cards are showing too. Thought they could get away with everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was to be the King of Wands, that creative one that could make everything happen without any consequences. Knight of Coins, taking money, and then just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wants to give me money, I'm going to give you money. The 2 of Swords. Which road do I take? Well, I can make this work.
Mm-hmm.
They're still trying to hide things.
They want to clean it up before they leave. They're trying to, but
who is it? Was it him and Thomas that wanted 60-day advance on their finance?
On filling out their finance forms,
Those two?
Yeah, it's both of them. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what the 4 of Coins is about. They're trying to hold on what they have and figure things out, what they did in the past and what gifts they received, with the Page of Cups, 6 of Cups. 4 of Coins is about holding on. It's a battle, but there's a lot of heartbreak and loss and bad karma coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's sickness, illness, being exposed, the betrayal lies, but we're moving forward into a better time.
Mm-hmm.
The angels are working on it, putting those thoughts out there, how to make things better. But these are all the Lido having issues. Trail and lies being exposed, but this is health issues and heartbreak and sadness and oh, woe is me, I got caught. So change is coming when the angels are helping,
Mm-hmm.
sending courage to Senator Whitehouse and others. Okay. We got that. Did that. Want to read about cat fights?
Oh, you know what flashed in my mind when I saw that on the house floor? I had a birthday party once when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And there's a girl named Sally, and I won't say her last name because she's still alive. I actually know where she is. And she and we invited a bunch of my girlfriends, and we went down to the movie theater to see a movie. And Sally got all pissed off because Dawn sat next to me. And we weren't going to rearrange everybody's seating to make Sally happy. So I lived in it's now a good sized city, but it was a medium sized city at the time. Sally got so pissed off, she walked home. She walked out of the theater and walked from downtown all the way to home. And all I could remember is her saying, Dawn needs to sit next to me. She can't sit next to you. That's exactly the look that was on her face. We were 11 years old. You know, I was 11. That was 1960. So, I mean, things haven't changed much when you're a child.
kids stealing the thunder.
Mm-hmm. MTG's pissed because Lauren took her stuff. I mean, suppose have you ever worked? I had one time worked on a campaign project, produced a report. A guy got a copy of it from one of the clients I was pitching. He took it to another client and stole a huge contract from us. And I know he stole ours because my oldest son typed it, and my oldest son had words that even spell check couldn't fix for him. And I opened up the guy who hired him. I opened up the report and I said, go to page 6, look at this word. Is it spelled properly? And he said, no. And I showed him mine next to his. And he said, well, I've already signed a contract. So, not much love there. But that's what she's pissed about. And I still have not. I know in my heart of hearts, to be perfectly clean, I should let that guy go. But he was still a thief. So.
I think a lot of it has to do with fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
The worst of the worst bring out whatever they need to for fundraising. Yeah, it does feel like their partnership is over. Because it's like they would piggyback off each other or whatever in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And the fundraising emails would go out. It was a giving and receiving partnership with money, but something happened with the money. The money's not coming in anymore. The 6 of coins with the money. Knight of Cups and the 7 of Cups gives me that feel of that in the past they were lock and step. They were the horror buddies, or what do you ever want to call it, about this drifting. So now we have a tower moment coming in between them.
Mm-hmm.
There is some hatred in with 5 of Cups, a tower, and the world. I'm getting the sense of all for one and one for all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with you, kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Self-preservation. I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
that word now with Queen of Cups, Strength card, and the Knight of Swords. The cat fighting.
It's how they live. I mean, that's how intelligent they are.
Yeah, it's nonsense which path they take, but they're just walking away. There is the worry of the investigations coming upon.
Mm-hmm.
So my last cards are Eight of Cups, King of Swords, Ace of Cups, and King of Cups. A lot of cups there in the end. Who's going to out who in the January 6th investigation and whatnot?
You know, the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz tour that went around the country last year raising money, it lost money. Those two spent all the money they were raising. I mean, these people are just, they're out of control. Tanya Harding, that's right.
It's a Tanya Harding scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. The old story came out that supposedly Lauren Boebert was broke.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow use a fundraising, whatever. Got to pay for that divorce, you know.
And she's got to buy gifts for the grandbaby that's being set up to be her in 37 years.
Poor kids.
I would call them trailer trash, but I don't want to insult people that live in trailers.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, just kids.
Pass their laws about our lives. Thank you.
Wasn't there? Okay, right on that. Right on that. Okay. We didn't really read on the ending.
Okay.
Is this gonna bring down the energy of ending this war, coming to an agreement, the Kremlin going away? Stop this nonsense. Rising up. No, I wouldn't worry about RFK Jr. He is nuts. He'll never make it through the primary, so I would not worry about him at all. Carrie Lake is squeezing out MTG.
Carrie Lake's the other one.
Let him fight. Okay, what's the deal?
Okay, I got that. There's going to be it is speeding up the ending to some extent because it's bringing more balance to the two sides. It's eliminating the delusion of what's going on. They're going to want to walk away from the battlefield. It's going to be hard though because they didn't break Putin. When they break Putin, that's going to be the end of the war. But it's the break they need. It's bringing balance. It's giving them a shot. Well, they had a shot before, but it was a long, sloggy shot. Now they've got a...
Hola. Oh.
Scott, you served in the military, right?
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Suppose the U.S. government said, oh, we're going to free these prisoners and put them in your units. How happy would you have been?
Not at all. That's illegal.
I think there's going to be more of the Russian side shooting the Russian side than... But they still blow up villages and stuff in the interim.
Yeah, we need people to see the truth and rise up a little.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, Christ, they're broke. Wow. Um, 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 um. Four of Wands, High Priestess, and Eight of Cups. It's a walking away situation.
Mm-hmm.
Ending, and then I also later have the Death card coming in. High Priestess can mean secret plans. Those three cards could seem like there's a plan or this energy is moving away from this war continuing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a celebration here. Continued work. The Seven of Coins and the Page of Cups. It feels like secret offers, secret dealings,
Mm-hmm.
how to end this thing. And then I had the Death card involving the world and taking risks with the Fool.
Mm-hmm.
There's an ending here with the Death involving world, which could mean governmental negotiations. Interesting. Let's see what the ending is. When this happens, it's going to happen quick.
Mm-hmm.
With a Tower, the King of Cups, smart leadership, bringing down the Devil. The Devil here is behind the
Mm-hmm.
bars,
Mm-hmm.
and a King of Coins. That's saying there's some smart leadership behind the quick ending of this negotiation. So it sure feels like there's a beginning here.
Yeah.
Secret dealings,
Mm-hmm.
plans to end this, how to end this.
Yeah, I asked, was there a change of heart? Would there be a change of heart with the Wagner group when they're sent back in? And it's like they're really not sure, but then they get behind battling, but they realize they're being lied to. They rethink this one more time and they decide they're going to change their position in the Wheel of Fortune. They're not going to stay anymore. I said, so what happens when Wagner really, the remnants of them pull out or however that comes? Then this is really good. You're right. It's going to happen suddenly. There's some planning going on to get ready for it. There's the sun, and that's like always means a positive yes. Completely new set of goals. Judgment is going to fall on the people who are not following it. It's going to be a lot of heartache when they realize what's happened. But in this reading, it's encapsulated by two nights. This was the end night, the night of coins, which is a lot of careful planning, and this is the emotional pain. But in the middle are three major arcana that are not to be these are at the end of the tarot. This is the sun, the star, new goals, and judgment is finally seen. So to me, I agree with you. I think it's going to be sudden. I think it's going to be at least within the next 10 weeks.
Yeah. Who knows what a spirit times of the Tower is, but
Tower just means things that didn't want to seem to change are going to change, you know.
yeah. Tower's like a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of car accidents, I had a person I knew from a long time ago. He was in my circle of hanging out after high school and
Mm-hmm.
lost track of him. And then I ended up working in the same place as he did for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
He passed in a motorcycle accident.
Oh.
A drunk driver hit him
Mm-hmm.
at an intersection. A couple years younger than me.
Ugh.
But so in our family community of people we know, we're heartbroken again by an accident.
one of my favorite friends was a guy who's a judge. He was a probate judge. And he used to ride around this little moped, and we were always on his ass about wearing a helmet. And he never would. And he came by and we talked at the wine bar. He put it off home. And the next day I got the phone call. He died in a one vehicle accident. They don't know what happened. All of a sudden, people were on their porch and saw it happen. His moped just like weaved and did something funny and then fell over. By the time they got to him, he was gone. And I think he had a stroke because the police went all up and down the street trying to find a divot, a pothole, or something. There was nothing there. I think he had a stroke. And he was not much older than I. Well, he was my age, I think, at the time. It was 2 or 3 years ago. It's tough when they hit next to you. You're like, woo, wasn't me.
Okay. Folks want to know where you're at. You're outside of Dallas, right? Not outside.
I physically live in Dallas. If I was any further north, I'd be in a place called Plano, which is not a place you want to be either. But yeah, it's hot. Why? It's going to be 100 degrees today, yes. But we've had rain almost every other day, and it's making me nuts because I'm allergic to mold. And so when it rains, it rehypes the mold back, and it's been a tough couple weeks. But
Oh, I'm sorry, I bring up bad memories for some people,
well,
but tragedy does happen every once in a while in our community of family. Ugh, rough one. Okay, anything else?
well, I had not seen that Lukashenko flew to Turkey in his own private jet with his whole family on board, which is very suspicious. So now we're going to leave Prigozhin in Belarus and let Russia come into Belarus and find him. That's not good.
Let's try this last one here.
Okay.
Unless there's something else. What's Z feeling about this? Because maybe we can get into some of the intelligence of what's going on behind the scenes here.
Mm-hmm.
Zelensky. How is he? Unless I'm being blocked, I don't sense he knew this was going to happen.
Okay. I got to somewhat, he feels you're right. He wasn't told it was coming. The moon can also mean things are hidden from you. He wants the war over more than anything. He felt like they were doing well enough that they could be pushing them. He feels like much of the information they're getting is not complete at all, and he doesn't see it as the end to the war. Wagner Group going away, and I said, "What's ultimately going to happen?" And it's not good. The strength and their judgment can be weakened. They don't feel like they can. They're partnering with everyone, but what he knows is at the end of the day, they just have to stand strong within themselves and fight their own battles. So the soap opera going on in Russia, it's important, but he's not doing his war planning based on it. He's basing it on what's on the ground, what's happening to his people.
Yeah. The energy in my flop I'm supposed to look at here is Judgment and the Tower.
Mm-hmm.
So, what it reveals is that the chaos within the Kremlin and the army. So we got a good thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. So there's a Queen of Coins tower and the star.
Mm-hmm.
This shows superior hope for the future of Ukraine
Yeah.
and the war. This is a good thing. And like you said, too, is strength, holding steady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Two of Wands, new plans. They're reaching out for help, but they're staying focused and calm with that Four of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
I get too excited about what's going on here, but it feels like there's an exciting step forward because of the breakage. You know, because Wagner has been center of this whole war as of late. There's still war crimes, not letting that go. Still on their toes with the Seven of Wands. Then I have the Eight of Cups and Two of Swords. New planning, new counteroffensives. So yeah, I sense more confusion about it.
Well, they kind of knew how to
Still
deal with
trying to
it.
get- right. It feels like they're still trying to get the intel of what actually went happen, but it's this focus of hope. And like that, multiple times I got the tower for this whole Russian war. And the star next to it feels really good.
Well, that's what I saw when I heard that they pulled out. That it's gonna all. I've always seen since the day I've only done like 4 private readings within my own sphere about the war, and the day that Putin went in, when I did it, I saw it was going to be the ultimate end of him. That was, and I saw another that, and now I saw when the Wagner group pulled, and what was going to happen about that. It was all going to blow up in Putin's face, and it was not going to be quick. There was some machinations in there, but
I don't see Putin before the court because I don't think he's kicking.
no, I mean they'd have to get the real Putin.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's just bring out some inspiration. It's time to move on with our day.
Okay.
We're already an hour and a half.
Okay.
Lord of Loves, number one to jail. That's too bad.
I'm gonna pull a card for the energy we need this week. And we got one of my favorites. We got the dragon.
Ooh, bring out the dragon.
We're born of fire. We're a protector. We exist between thoughts. Ability to move between worlds. Connection to the birth of the universe. It's a very powerful messenger. The dragon appears when major life changes are happening or about to happen. He is with you as a reminder that you have the power to get through these changes. You are being shown that through these changes or situations that seem overwhelming and life-altering, it's a catalyst for major spiritual growth. It's not often when that amount of power enters your life in the same time as transformative change anyway. Harness and make the most of it. So we're riding the dragon this week, kids.
Whoa.
Which means it's going to be an interesting week.
You think it's going to be an interesting week?
Yeah.
A lot of justice. A lot of justice happening this week.
Good.
The fight for justice and equality is going to be in our favor this week.
Good.
The King of Wands. Creative passions moving, and then I have Three of Coins and the 10 of Coins. So it's all about being grateful being grateful for what you
Mhm.
have and doing what you love. But
Mhm.
this week, I think a lot of justice things happen. More news is coming out as far as that go. But the other two we're talking about just being grateful for what you have. We have one life to live, and if you're gonna be ungrateful, it doesn't flow very well.
Yeah, and if you're riding on a dragon, dragons go all the way back to the beginning of the universe. So it's got a lot of power behind it, and it's ready to shoot. It's your choice whether you want to ride it or not. It's always an interesting ride, I can tell you that.
Oh, speaking of that, I fell
Yeah.
asleep, but I rented Avatar 2 last night.
Oh, cool.
So I watched like half of it and then dozed off. But speaking of riding dragons, that was pretty interesting because they ride all those
Mm-hmm.
type of creatures, and that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. My
They
first
are.
sense it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Yeah, riding on sea creatures and dragons, connecting with
What
them.
can I say?
Ride your dragon, justice happening.
So, what's your week look like while we're riding the dragon?
Um, I think I just got Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, just Tuesday night with Allison scheduled and Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
I every once in a while I plan with another person on Thursdays. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I have another one till July 6th. July 6th and 13th I am.
I've got. Are you done,
Yep.
dear? Okay. I've got tomorrow. I'm doing another political show, but it's not like the kind of political show you and I do. I'm going to explain to people a basic civics lesson on what constituent services are. Now, I know that sounds boring as hell, but that's what your lawmaker should be doing for you. They should have people on the ground where you live, whether it's in Congress, whether it's your city council or your town council or whatever, people who can help you wade through the bureaucracy if you run into a problem you can't handle. You're not out there on your own, and how to work with constituent services and how to call on them to make them work for you. That's Monday at 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a show that was suggested by people who watched me do some garden readings. And a woman wrote and said, it seems like a lot of what goes on in the garden is a lot like reading runes. Well, it is, because runes also don't do yes, nos, they do situations. So I'm going to explain the power that I pulled in from understanding runes, and I'm going to have runes out. I'm going to talk about working with runes and then about working with my garden and how the two are connected. So that's my week. And I have some private readings. I have some private readings in there. I'm still have the thing. You can still get a 6-month reading and find out what's going to happen between now and the end of the year. And now I know why everybody's end of the years look so good. Man, all the ones I've been doing, it's like incredible. October,
Beautiful.
November, December. So
That's a good news.
you can go to my website, crystaldirections.com, or you can email me at crystalsdirections.nancyjean@gmail and to set up an appointment if you want to do that. And catch me now because it's 100 degrees outside. I'm not leaving my house.
Good idea. All right. Blessings, everyone. Thanks again, Nancy,
Okay,
for
bye.
your
See you later.
knowledge. You bet. Bye.